Roll Tide, everybody. It's a Friday, and as you can tell, we're doing the Friday thing. We're going to talk a little bit of Alabama football here on Cover Crimson, brought to you by Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. That's Clint Lamb. I'm Mick Gillispie. Let's get this show started. We got a lot to talk about today, including Coach DeBoer. Where does he rank amongst college coaches? Is he getting a little bit of, after last season, little bit dissed, less respect, or do people still think he's one of the best? We're going to talk about that right now. All right, Roll Tide, everybody. Clint Lamb, Mick Gillispie, CoverCrimson.com. All right, let's get into this right now. Where does Coach DeBoer rank amongst college football coaches for the people that rank college football coaches, Clint?
Yeah, so CBS Sports, they put out their top college football coaches. And Mick, where would you guess Kalen DeBoer would be ranked?
If I was ranking Kalen DeBoer, I'd probably have him in the top 10. I think that if they're ranking Kalen DeBoer after last season, he's in the top 15.
Yeah, okay, so after last season, so last year he checked in number 7 on this list. Now he's dropped 2 spots to number 9. So still ranked in the top 10. So you agree with that. But, you know, obviously dropped a couple spots. Now, granted, the transition from Nick Saban to anybody, there was always going to be some growing pains. We've talked about that. The highest he's been ranked has been number 4, and the lowest is number 19. Now, I don't know when. I don't have a context of that. Like, is that saying that I think it's multiple people who are voting, and it's telling you, okay, like the highest that someone ranked him was top 4. The lowest was number 19. I would love to talk to whoever put him at number 19 if that's the case. But who would you say, with him sitting at number 9, this might shock you, but who would you say are the 3, maybe it won't shock you, but we'll see. The 3 SEC coaches who were ranked ahead of him, who would you say?
Well, Kirby Smart, definitely. Probably the top SEC coach and in my opinion, the top coach in the country. They're going to give Lane Kiffin a nod over him, the recruiting, the winning, I'm guessing. And probably, I don't know, can you put Brian Kelly in front of him? He'd been to a championship game at Notre Dame. Did win the West and the SEC one year over Nick Saban. Didn't have a great year, but it has a good team coming back. And it's not going to be Hugh Freeze. He's had terrible luck, been terrible. I feel like I'm missing somebody.
You are there. What's one of the new teams in the SEC?
Oh yeah, Sarkisian. Yeah, so it's Kirby, Sarkisian, and Lane Kiffin.
You were close. It was definitely Kirby Smart checking in at number 1. It was Steve Sarkisian checking in at number 4. And then you were right as far as Brian Kelly. They have him checked in 1 spot ahead of him at number 8. Now, Lane Kiffin's just a few spots behind there at number 12. So, you know, definitely was the next one in line. And then you got Josh Heupel sitting at number 16. Last year's rankings, I thought it's so funny because it says what their 2024 rank was. The number 2 is Ryan Day at Ohio State. That's not surprising. Just won a national championship. And once you get that notch under your belt, they start looking, okay, the first national championship, but he's one of the few coaches in college football, active coaches who have won one. And he's consistently had them with a good record in the conversation, going to the college football playoffs, getting to the national championship. I just think it's funny because last year they had him ranked number 2 as well. So there was nowhere to go because he's definitely not going to leap Kirby Smart. But he wins the national title, and he was ranked as the number 2 coach in this list last year. And yet a lot of people were saying if he didn't, not only get to the college football playoff, get to the national championship, but probably even win a national championship, that he could be out as Ohio State's head coach. It's just really funny how that works when he was viewed so favorably. And then you got Dabo Swinney sitting at number 3 before Steve Sarkisian at 4. So Okay, let's make this prediction. Where does Kalen DeBoer rank on this list after 2025? When we're talking about this list in 2026, where is Kalen DeBoer? He's probably not going to be in the same spot. Maybe if they make the college football playoff and they're good, maybe they win a game, maybe win a couple of games that wouldn't allow him to move up or down. But more than likely, he's going to climb one way or go in one way or the other. Where do you think he would check in on this list in 2026?
That's a great question. You know, Chris Lowe did the list of top 10 coaches to watch, right? And DeBoer was number 4 on that list. And I know why he's saying it. The other guys, there were some hot seat guys, you know, Coach Prime, you know, if he has another big year, does he stay there? Does he go somewhere else? But DeBoer, it's like the reason you're going to watch him is to see like what's going to happen. You know, with Brian Grubb being back, is that going to make Alabama the team that Washington was? Or are they going to be the Alabama that beat Georgia? Or are they going to be the Alabama that rolled over against Oklahoma, that weren't prepared against Michigan? You know, or are they going to be the Alabama that went down to LSU and ran over them? I mean, like it's, you know what I mean? Like, and I think having Grubb back gives which is so weird, right? But having Grubb definitely raises DeBoer's stock. Alabama has something to prove. They got a great defense coming back. I think he's going to go higher on the list next year. I think Alabama, you said it. You think they're a national championship contender. I think they make the college football playoff. And the thing I really like about DeBoer is that you can play relaxed football because he doesn't put a lot of pressure on kids, you know. And when you get into big games, you're going to have success when you're loose and you're focused, right? So I'm hoping that that's what happens with Grubb. I think he could be easily 3rd or 4th on this list after next year.
If he wins a national championship, I would almost guarantee he's going to make quite a leap. I mean, there's no doubt he would make a leap into the top 5. He would leap Dan Lanning because he's got the head-to-head wins against Dan Lanning already. Because when you look at the guys who are ahead of him, you know, Brian Kelly, so beat LSU. We know that he's beat Dan Lanning. We know he's beat Steve Sarkisian. Did he go against Ryan Day? No, obviously Kirby Smart. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he's got an undefeated record against everybody who's ahead of him on this list. So having those head-to-heads, if he gets that Ryan Day notch under his belt where he wins a national championship, he might even jump all the way to number 2. Willie, maybe not, but I would say bare minimum would jump to 4 ahead of Steve Sarkisian, who hadn't got a national championship, ahead of Dan Lanning, potentially would jump Dabo Swinney. Maybe the fact that Dabo – there's a lot of pressure on Clemson this year. You know, a lot of people have them as the number 1 ranked team. They have a lot of NFL talent, premium NFL talent. Now all this criticism of how he's handled the transfer portal and, you know, all that stuff, it's kind of turned to praise, and maybe this guy was on to something. We'll have to wait and find out. But if they don't win a national championship, you're a year further removed from the one that he did win, the last one that he won, which was in 2018. So I mean that's not too long ago, but you're starting to get up there. That'll be really interesting. But speaking of what you were talking about with Kalen DeBoer being a little bit relaxed in his approach, I thought it was interesting. First of all, did you see the photo of all of the Alabama players? It was, you know, the 3 quarterbacks: Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, and Keelan Russell, Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Isaiah Horton, Rico Scott, Derek Meadows, I think, was there. And then they were working out this offseason with a lot of the Las Vegas Raiders: Geno Smith, Jacoby Myers, Dante Thornton, who is a receiver for Tennessee and Oregon, who recently got drafted. But, you know, obviously Ryan Grubb has a great relationship with Geno Smith. He was his offensive coordinator last year with the Seattle Seahawks. They've been working out. But first of all, did you see that photo?
No, let's look at it.
I actually don't have the photo pulled up.
I thought you were about to drop it on me.
No, well, it's just they all got their shirts off. They're looking great. Definitely a lot looking like me with my shirt off. Yeah. Looking like they've been putting in some work. But the reason that I brought that up is Kalen DeBoer. He went on the Always College Football podcast with Greg McElroy yesterday, day before, maybe actually I think it was a few days ago. But he was asked about that, and I thought his quote was really interesting, and this is what I wanted to get into. He was asked if he saw the photo or knew that they were working out with the Raiders essentially, and he said, "I just saw, and I knew this was going to happen. These guys were talking about it over a month ago. Many of them going and meeting at a location here in the month of May. We've cautioned them not to do too much because the summer is going to be the hardest one they've ever been through." I thought that was an interesting. Ty Simpson's been through some Nick Saban summers, Mick. So a lot of these Bama players have. Tim Keenan's been through some Nick Saban summers.
Saban light, though. Some of the guys that have been there.
Well, that's a good point.
Saban light those last few years, when
that's a good point
about what they went through, and then really, I kind of felt like after 2020, you could feel like it wasn't the same. And part of it's that you have the transfer portal and NIL, but still, Saban light, still pretty tough.
Yeah. I just thought that was really interesting. It's a change. The fact that he's being vocal about that, the fact that, a lot of people thought it was too laxed last year. Yeah. This signals something a little bit different. And Kalen DeBoer, I think a lot of people think that he's soft on players. I don't think that he's soft. I think he's approachable. I think, he's a guy like he's gonna take a different approach. But as far as there's still expectations, this guy doesn't go everywhere he's been and be successful if you don't have a standard, if you don't discipline your players. You can't let your players run rampant and just do whatever they want to. Jimbo Fisher gave that a shot, and how did it treat Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M? It cost him his job.
That's right.
So just the fact that
you
got to have balance. And a lot of people just think because Kalen DeBoer is this calm personality as far as the media, he is a nice guy. There have been, with the way that some players reacted, the Malachi Moore situation against Vanderbilt, Kendrick Law against, was it Tennessee? I believe it was Tennessee right there at the end of the game.
Cost him the game.
Yeah. A lot of people feel like that he's soft. He doesn't discipline his players. I'm telling you, he wouldn't have made it as far as he has if that was his approach. But I think that the players, and then they know, apparently they know it's coming. He's been having these conversations with them, but it sounds like it's going to be a pretty intense summer for them.
It's all about transitioning, right? Like what worked at Washington obviously isn't working at Alabama. It did, but it didn't, right? He's got to get tougher. I think he knows that. And it's a good thing. The one area that and you mentioned it, where he's always had success is figuring out what works and then making it work, right? And you knew that he was going to look at last year, evaluate how things went. It's tough sometimes to be hard and then, go from easy to hard, right? Because people have expectations. Hey, this is what we're used to. But that's what he's going to have to do. And having Ryan Grubb back, and I've said it already on the show a couple times, helps you make that transition because that's your right-hand man. You guys are kind of a team. And I think it's a good sign. I really like hearing it.
What I would love for people to do is jump into the comments section and let us know, with this Alabama team, one, what are you most encouraged about? If you want to list a couple of things, that's fine, but try to keep it to, one or two. And then also, what are still some things that have you concerned? Because as I've looked at this roster, you look at the coaching staff, I'm not saying like depth along the offensive line. That's still a question mark. We think there are some potential answers. We like how some of those spots have been developed. We've talked about that pretty extensively, but at the same time, we haven't seen it yet, so we don't know definitively one way or another yet. There's some other positions maybe. Maybe is it a lack of discipline last year? Was it the fact that they didn't take every opponent seriously, and there was teams that they should have completely railroaded, 6-6, 7-5 football teams, that they were letting either hang around or beat them on multiple occasions? Like, is that your concern? I want to know, because when I look at this, whether it be from a personnel standpoint, whether it be from a coaching standpoint, the schedule, that might be a huge concern for you. I think that it's a manageable schedule, but it's obviously, it's Alabama, it's the SEC. You're always going to have a tough schedule to an extent. But I would say this, once again, is going to be it's going to be a tough schedule to navigate. It's going to be one of the tougher schedules in college football. But I just want to know what are your biggest concerns and what are you most encouraged about in year two under Kalen DeBoer? Get in the comment section and let us know I think that'll be really, really interesting. Mick, you got anything else on this before we move on to a little Quay Russaw talk?
No, a couple things, though. First off, Father's Day is coming. We got you covered here with the Room 20 code at roback.com. Coker will give Roback all the credit in the world because he wears their gear every single day, right? But it's soft. It looks good. You can wear it on the golf course. You can wear it in the office. And that code, just in time for Father's Day, maybe your birthday, maybe you're hooking somebody else up. Take advantage of that. And also, I want to tell you guys that we are excited about wearing Roback on the golf course at Dancing Rabbit Pearl River Resort. Over there, the Azaleas, the Oaks, 2 amazing golf courses, hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 and change from Birmingham. You don't need a membership. Just put your Roback gear on, head over, play. It really is the Augusta you can play. I mean, I promise you, I want to hear what you guys think when you come back. Tell me what you thought about that golf course and how much you liked it. And or maybe you didn't. I don't know. I want to know what you think. But they put millions of dollars into both of those courses. But they got the Steakhouse, Philip M's, obviously the sports book, the Timeout Sports Lounge in Golden Moon Casino, and Silver Star Casino, the spa for, like, look at me. I'm out here right now. I'm celebrating Jackner's 13th birthday. My son, so proud of that. So we're out here doing the dad-son thing. But you guys can do the same thing at Pearl River. And you got the spa and you got the water park, all that stuff. But and a concert series too. All of it. Check it out. All right, let's get into this right now. You love this. You love when you see guys kind of showing what they're doing in the offseason.
That's right. And it's like I said with the picture of all the Bama players with the Las Vegas Raiders. Quay Russaw is a player who's going to be critical to Alabama's success defensively in 2025. I don't think we liked that room. We think, Jamarian Latham's got a lot of experience. You got, Yanze Pierre has some experience, but was a very talented 5-star player coming out of high school. You got guys like Justin Hill and Noah Carter, other, top 100 recruits, once top 100 recruits with a lot of talent and ability. So even without a Quay Russaw, you would still feel pretty good about that room. But Russaw, to me, I've described him quite frequently the last, really since Kalen DeBoer got to Alabama, as the best 3-down option that Alabama has at the Wolf position. Has the edge setting ability, the run stopping ability, be a physical presence, but also can handle playing the off-ball side of things. You're playing about a third of your snaps off the ball. He can handle that side of it. But he also, going back and watching some of his tape, he's got a lot more juice as a pass rusher, or he did prior to the injury that he suffered last year. Now, does he need to have a better plan as a pass rusher at times? Yes. I think as far as the counters, the secondary moves could continue to develop or grow on that front. But I just thought it was really encouraging that he is putting in the work this offseason, and we'll go ahead and throw up what he's got going here. We'll go ahead and play it. So looks great physically, showing him working out. And the thing about it is the lower body injury that he had this past season, the knee injury, you like to be able to see him move. He looks great physically, Mick. So I definitely wanted to give him some a shout out, kind of address the fact that he's been obviously putting in quite a bit of work. But, Alabama's pass rush has to be better in 2025, and I think Quay Russaw is going to be a massive part of that.
I like the depth that the defense has too, and the experience that those guys are bringing back. And I talked to Tim Smith at the Senior Bowl, and he was not happy with the way that the season went. You heard from Tyler Booker. He wasn't happy with the way that the season went. Those guys are gone. But the Quay Russaws, the guys that are there right now, the Tim Keenans, it's up to them to kind of get it back to what Alabama football has been under Nick Saban, and that's a force, right? It's not going to be exactly the same, but it's still, it's still Alabama football, and they have a great team. And it's refreshing to hear what Coach DeBoer's saying, and then to see these guys going out there. Hey, we're practicing with the Raiders every day, or I'm out here doing the things I need to do to get better, or to hear that Deontay Lawson's, closing in on being ready for the season. They're going to need all of those guys. In the schedule, I'm telling you right now, and I know you guys get in the comment sections and make you worry about everything. I do worry about everything, okay? I went to school during the the DuBose Shula era. I remember Coach Fran. I remember losing the 6 times to Auburn. I remember when we couldn't beat Tennessee. Okay. So I know a lot of you guys are like, give me a hard time. Look, man, I've been through when we weren't great. And I know that the edge is easy to fall off, so it takes these guys doing the little things and being motivated for us to have a great football team. And they're doing it. And that's what's the most exciting about this show right now, kind of just seeing that they're focused and, and doing little things out there to get better.
Well, one of the things that Ohio State's dealing with right now is complacency, right? Nick Saban talked about this a lot. It's very difficult to repeat. And you got to give Kirby Smart and Georgia credit for doing it in 2021 and 2022, because keeping the team hungry after they just won a national championship, it's tough to do. A lot of entitlements. Alabama hadn't had that. Alabama hadn't had a national championship since 2020, and the last time that they had a national championship that wasn't in a COVID season was 2017. When Tua had the walk-off. We talk about Clemson and it being quite a while. Alabama has experienced one more recently than that, but it has been a while. None of the players on the roster have experienced that, or at least guys who are returning. I think the hunger being there, we'll see how they address things. If they win a national championship, we'll see how Kalen DeBoer does as far as complacency, the complacency factor of things. But for now, the hunger's there for this team. And for guys like Quay Russaw, I'm very curious to see how these two Montgomery Carver defensive former 5-star teammates between James Smith and Quay Russaw, how they both continue to develop. Because last year, obviously Russaw was a starter. James Smith was not. He was a heavy rotational piece. Now he's going to be expected to be a starter. But, they're in similar situations where they flashed. They have a lot of ability. You can see why they were once rated 5-star recruits coming out of high school, but you want to see them put it all together. And I think they're both going to do that. And the disruption that the two of these guys can cause together from an exterior, interior, complementary side of things, I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch if you're an Alabama fan. And I'm very excited to see a lot of versatility for both guys, can move them around, can do different things. I'm excited to see what Kane Womack does with both of these guys in 2025.
Same here. Guys, before we get out of here, I want to give a shout out to Ryan Anderson and TJ Yeldon. Went by on Thursday down in Orange Beach for their Blueprints and Bourbon party that was hosted at Engel and Volkers. It was for their new 422 Capital Group, right? 422. Think about it, okay? And, and Ryan does the 22 builds. But I told him I was so proud of those guys, man. Like, you get out of the NFL, what are you going to do? It's like, hey, not sit back. Was an amazing event, hung out with Shank and, a bunch of other really cool people. But seeing these guys, like, work with builders and, just kind of do stuff outside of football and make a difference, it's just really cool. And then the Impact 22, which is Ryan's charity, like helping kids and stuff. Like the guy's doing so much. I know you guys want to hear great stories about former Alabama players, right? Tip of the cap to those guys. And anybody that's going to be at the Pensacola Blue Wahoos game tonight, Ryan Anderson's throwing out the first pitch.
Very cool.
It's cool talking to TJ Yeldon. We always get into like the great running backs. Think about this. We want a Daniel Moore print of Ryan's strip sack against Tennessee in 2015, right? That was one of the biggest plays, of the season, because it looked like Josh Dobbs was going to beat Alabama. And then TJ Yeldon has the Daniel Moore print, right? The the play where McCarron cried down in Baton Rouge, like
that's right.
Bama, scoring that touchdown at the end. The crazy thing is, like, you got to go out and recruit all these guys from around the country, but you also got to nail those in-state guys. And you think about, like, the love and the passion that some of these guys have for Alabama. Seeing McCarron so, like, just relieved and also just, like, so excited. Our friend Jay Coker crying after the national championship game, like holding the trophy, like just like a relief. Like I did it for you guys because I grew up and this was my dream. Like Ryan and TJ, all these guys that learned under Nick Saban. The biggest compliment that you can give a coach isn't how many games and championships you won, but it's when you see people develop into leaders, into great humans, and doing for their community and getting out there and making a difference. So I thought that was cool. Not to get too cheesy on this, but I don't know. Sometimes being a little bit older and I look at these guys and I'm like, hey, man, do your thing, man, and thank you.
Yeah, it's always cool, man. There's so many great memories. And here's the thing. The guys now, it's not Nick Saban's guys anymore. It's Kalen DeBoer's. And so I want us to be doing this 10 years from now, 15 years from now, and this the next wave. The next TJ Yelens and Ryan Andersons and guys who have kind of been there, done it, got themselves a national championship, got Alabama another national championship, or fan favorites. Having Daniel Moore, hopefully he's still going strong as far as creating new art for all of us to hang up in our offices and our houses and stuff. So, really cool opportunity for those guys to continue to kind of enjoy being a part of the greatest dynasty in college football history, easily.
Yeah. Guys, a couple things I want to ask you to do. Say Roll Tide with a thumbs up. And talking about Daniel Moore, our promo code is Crimson. So that's buy one, get half off anything. So take advantage of it. That's Crimson at newlifeart.com. And then finally, we are really glad to be a partner of Pearl River Resort. I mean, they keep the lights on for us over here. So it's not really lights. It's actually the sun.
Keep the camera rolling.
Yeah, look at that right there. The yacht. That's not mine, though.
Soon.
I wish. But, we talked about it already on the show, the Timeout Sports Lounge. You want to go up and say, hey, I feel good about Alabama, do the futures, bet on games. They have all the games, right? International, national, 20 TVs in the Timeout Sports Lounge. They've got the individual kiosks. So if you're like me and you just want to kind of be private, you can program the little TVs, watch, and gamble as you sit there. I won at Pimlico. I lost at Churchill Downs. Now I'm going to the Belmont Stakes, but I had so much fun betting on those horses. Father Carl's got me where I'm like, got a book about doing it, like I'm having fun kind of being part of it. You can do all that at Timeout Sports Lounge. But whether it's golf, NASCAR, NBA basketball, with the finals going right now, Major League Baseball, college football coming up, that's the Timeout Sports Lounge at Golden Moon Casino. Well, we appreciate those guys so much. Clint, have a great weekend, brother.
Same to you, brother.
It was a lot of fun talking to you guys, too. And again, thank you for being here. Oh, and before I get out of here, covercrimson.com. Clint, what do you got going on? Hit him one time. And then don't forget to follow and subscribe on Spotify and Apple. So I can't get out of here yet.
Yeah, that definitely go subscribe, follow. That would help us tremendously. Also got the player rankings going on, ranking the entire roster. Not the guys who aren't arriving until the summer, but pretty much everybody else on the roster. We're finally throwing in those freshmen. Should be a lot of fun. So already got the first batch. Going to be having the second batch come out here in just a little bit. So get over to covercrimson.com, join in on that conversation. And Mick, once again, appreciate you coming on here today, brother.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm down here in Biloxi celebrating 13 and going into the 8th grade. Think about that for a dad. I didn't realize how fast this was going to go for him and for me. So anyway, it's going to be a great weekend. But thank you guys, and Roll Tide.
Escape to Pearl River Resort.